DESTINATOR by Michael Dawn. Narrated by Diva Precious. Chapter 1. The Adamic Year Count. Genesis 5:3 TEV, today's English version. When Adam was 130 years old. This recorded fact is a simple numerical count concerning the age of Adam, being 130 years old. Here, the records show that as early as Adam's time, there was already a clear indication the years were counted, which is a calendar type method of counting the passage of time. The years counted reached 130, no more, no less, therefore exactly 130 years only. Having reached the count of 130 years, naturally, on a backward count, the years 129 back to year 1 were marked and counted before 130 could be indicated. In Adam's time, from his first appearance as a man up to the length or period of 130 years thereafter, the calendar year count was already in existence, as the record states. What this year was, how long it was, how it was exactly counted from the start and end of a cycle or pattern being indicated as a year. Count is an interesting subject. Who kept track of the passage of time up to 130 years after Adam fathered Seth? Did Adam do it by himself? With a very early knowledge of basic mathematical computation, as well as the introduction and adoption of the calendar, which is evidenced by such 130 years, count of Adam's age. The circumstances tend to establish the fact that Adam was a very knowledgeable man. Was it necessary for Adam to mark the passage of time as early at this point of time or moment in the history of human existence? Did Adam come to realize the importance of a calendar by himself? In comparison with the advancement of civilization, history shows that it took many years, definitely longer than 130 years, before mankind came to arrive at the concept of a calendar. Yet, Adam knew and devised a calendar at the earliest moment of human existence. To devise a calendar is not an easy job, much so for a single individual like Adam. Yet, we have it on record that such a calendar existed and can not be denied, though initially imperceptible. The natural circumstances obtaining during the 130-year period are very significant in the light of recorded facts, inclusive thereof and consistent with the consequences thereafter. Foremost and thrilling to note is the fact that Adam appeared as a man and not as a newborn child. And this event took place definitely within the 130-year span recorded. For purposes of marking the passage of time, pursuant to a calendar used indicating the 130 years of Adam as recorded, slowly we can perceive mathematically that Adam as the first man carried in his own person time in direct relation to the calendar count of 130 years. Taking the first step from here and introducing the records of the Holy Bible as it is and as it was, that is without any attempt nor intention of subjecting it to any doctrinal or theological interpretation, the cold and bare facts reported will speak for themselves. At first view, these records appear as concerning usual births and deaths, accounts of the descending blood descendants in a categorical manner. However, we can entertain an approach which will open the gate leading to tremendous significance often overlooked. Herein presented is a tabulated computation of the Adamic year count based on the accurate records in the Holy Bible. Please see the following pages. Personalities, birth year, fathering age, lifespan, death year. Adam, 0-1, birth year, fathering age 130, lifespan 930, death year 930. Seth, birth year 130, fathering age 105, lifespan 912, death year 1042. Enosh, birth year 235, fathering age 90, lifespan 905, death year 1140. Kenan, birth year 325, fathering age 70, lifespan 910, death year 1235. Mahalalel, birth year 395, fathering age 65, lifespan 895, death year 1290. Jared, birth year 460, fathering age 162, lifespan 962, death year 1422. Enoch, birth year 622, fathering age 65, lifespan 365, this appeared 987. Methuselah, birth year 687, fathering age 187, lifespan 969, death year 1656. Lamech, birth year 874, fathering age 182, lifespan 777, death year 1651. Noah, birth year 1056, fathering age 502, lifespan 50. Death year 2006. Arpakshad. Birth year 1658. Fathering age 35. Lifespan 438. Death year 2096. Sheila. Birth year 1693. Fathering age 30. Lifespan 433. Death year 2126. Eber. Birth year 1723. Fathering age 34. Lifespan 464. Death year 2187. Peleg. Birth year 1757. Fathering age 30. Lifespan 239. Death year 1996. Ru. Birth year 1787. Fathering age 32. Lifespan 239. Death year 2026. Sirog. Birth year 1819. Fathering age 30. Lifespan 230. Death year 2049. Nahor. Birth year 1849. Fathering age 29. Lifespan 148. Death year 1997. Tera. Birth year 1878. Fathering age 71. Lifespan 205. Death year 2083. Abraham. Birth year 1949. Fathering age 100. Lifespan 175. Death year 2124. Ismael. Birth year 2035. Isaac. Birth year 2049. Fathering age 60. Lifespan 180. Death year 2229. Jacob. Birth year 2109. Fathering age 92. Lifespan 147. Death year 2256. Esau. Birth year 2109. Joseph. Birth year 2205. Death year 2315. Moses. Birth year 2589. Lifespan 120. Death year 2709. Admittedly, year 130, being the age of Adam when he fathered Seth, is also the birth year of Seth. Considering that Adam was the living calendar, and the passage of time properly indicated was attached to his Adam's person. At this point of writing, the question arises, knowing the year count of Adam when he fathered Seth being 130 years old, when was Adam created? In the previous table, it was indicated as 0-1 for lack of definite basis to stand, but an indicator exactly the beginning of the numerical count in order to reach the figure of 130 years. It is simply counting backward from 130 to 129 to 128 until we arrive back in year 1. And we use the 0 before figure number 1. Here is an exploratory question. What is the equivalent numerical count or date in the world historical dating such as BC, before Christ, or BCE, before Christ era of 130 Adamic year count? After a long period of making the tracer of many contributory factors, the destinator emerged. An illustration is presented for an exciting view of the tabulated numbers, such that people, places, events, circumstances, time, material things, forces of nature, and creation of the Almighty are in the right emergence and occurrence in orderly sequence. The effect is that we enjoy reading and viewing initially until further exhaustive study to establish accuracy for the satisfaction of one's insatiable curiosity in search for the elusive truth and authenticity. It is the pleasure of the first-time reader of this writing to do everything to attain his or her purpose. Be that as it may, this writer humbly requests for the readers kind indulgence for consideration, and there never was any malice aforethought to malign, offend, distort, disturb in any manner the individual or corporate thoughts, beliefs, and practice, as the contents herein are the results of 29 years of meditative prayers, listening, receiving, and writing the divine information with the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom as gifts from the Almighty Creator of the writer. From Adamic year 130, when Seth was born, he grew up and reached the age of 105 years, as Genesis 5:6 shows. When Seth was 105, he had a son, Enosh. Noticeably, the pattern of calendar year count continues just as it was in Adam's 130 years of age when he begat Seth. Adam was still alive when the son of Seth, called Enosh, was born. The flow of time continuing in Adam's age increasing, that is 130 years plus 105 years corresponding to the exact age of Seth when Enosh, the first grandson of Adam, was born. The sum is 235 years. Chronologically, this 235 years in the person of Adam is also the continuous passage of time properly counted and precisely the birth year of Enosh, and marked as Adamic year 235. As Enosh grew up and reached 90 years, he fathered Kenan. And these 90 years are added to Adamic year 235, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 325. As Kenan grew up and reached 70 years, he fathered Mahalalel. And these 70 years are added to Adamic year 325, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 395, with Adam still living. The birth year of Mahalalel is Adamic year 395. As Mahalalel grew up and reached 65 years, he fathered Jared. In these 65 years are added to Adamic year 395 and time passage is marked as Adamic year 460 with Adam still living. The birth year of Jared is Adamic year 460. As Jared grew up and reached 162 years, he fathered Enoch. In these 162 years are added to the Adamic year 460 in time passage is marked as Adamic year 622, with Adam still living. The birth year of Enoch is Adamic year 622. As Enoch grew up and reached the age of 65 years, he fathered Methuselah. In these 65 years are added to Adamic year 622, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 687, with Adam still living. The birth year of Methuselah is Adamic year 687. As Methuselah grew up and reached 187 years, he fathered Lamech. In these 187 years are added to Adamic year 687, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 874, with Adam still living. The birth year of Lamech is Adamic year 874. As Lamech grew up and reached 182 years, he fathered Noah. In these 182 years are added to Adamic year 874, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 1056, with Adam no longer living, considering that Adam's lifespan was 930 years. The birth year of Noah is Adamic year 1056. As Noah grew up and reached 502 years, he fathered Shem. In these 502 years are added to Adamic year 1056, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 1558, and also the birth year of Shem. Genesis 5:32 simply says, after Noah was 500 years old, he had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Note that it was after 500 years, not exactly 500 years. That is why the figure 502 years indicates Noah's age when he begat Shem, his eldest son. How this 502 years came about is amply supported by related records as seen in Genesis 11:10. Also, a pleasant discovery along the way is the establishment of the exact date of the Great Flood. As Shem grew up and reached 100 years, he fathered Arpachshad. In these 100 years are added to Adamic year 1558, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 1658, and also the birth year of Arpachshad. Just as a remarkable continuity and accuracy in the recording of the passage of time, the Great Flood was a destructive factor to consider. Yet, great efforts must have been exerted to preserve and carry on the work of marking the flow of time, from Noah's 600th birthday when the flood came, down to the birth of Arpachshad. It was exactly 2 years long after the Great Flood. Genesis 11:10 clearly states, these are the descendants of Shem. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he had a son, Arpachshad. As to how and who kept track of the passage of time is indeed a wonder, and we have in our hands the accurate data. Speaking of accuracy, the records show clearly in a simple manner the important count of the calendar years, and consequently leading to the establishment of the chronological dates of momentous events in the past. With accuracy permitting the records of the Holy Bible aforementioned, the imprint of authenticity naturally follows. another digestive study and evaluation of Noah's lifetime, especially about the Great Flood, hereby opens the fantastic yet credible fact that such a great flood really took place. Chapters 7 and 8 in the book of Genesis illustrate with great accuracy and in detail the exact duration of or length of time when the great flood came and ended. The records about the great flood are clear manifestations of the existence and active use of a calendar even during those times, citing computations of the days, months, and years. Continuing, as Arpakshad grew up and reached the age of 35 years, he fathered Shelah. In these 35 years are added to Adamic year 1658, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 1693, and also the birth year of Shelah. As Shelah grew up and reached the age of 30 years, he fathered Eber. In these 30 years are added to Adamic year 1693, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 1723, also the birth year of Eber. As Eber grew up and reached the age of 34 years, he fathered Peleg. In these 34 years are added to Adamic year 1723, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 1757, and also the birth year of Peleg. As Peleg grew up and reached 30 years, he fathered Ru, and these 30 years are added to Adamic year 1757, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 1787, and also the birth year of Ru. As Ru grew up and reached the age of 32 years, he fathered Serog. In these 32 years are added to Adamic year 1787, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 1819, and also the birth year of Serog. As Serog grew up and reached the age of 30 years, he fathered Nahor. In these 30 years are added to Adamic year 1819, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 1849, and also the birth year of Nahor. As Nahor grew up and reached the age of 29 years, he fathered Terah. And these 29 years are added to Adamic year 1849, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 1878, and also the birth year of Terah. As Terah grew up and reached the age of 71 years, he fathered Abraham. In these 71 years are added to Adamic year 1878, and time passage is marked as Adamic year 1949, and also the birth year of Abraham. In Genesis 11:26 it says, after Terah was 70 years old, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Notice that it was after 70 years and not exactly 70 years when Terah fathered Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And logically speaking, in chronological sequence, the count of 71 years is the next and nearest to year 70. And for tabulation record, Terah was 71 years when he fathered his 3 sons thereafter. When Abraham was born in Adamic year 1949, he grew up and reached 100 years, and he fathered Isaac. As Genesis 21:5 says, Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born. For record purposes, we must consider the flow of time properly marked from Adam's appearance when he fathered Seth down to Abraham's death. Abraham was born in Adamic year 1949, and he lived for 175 years, which ended in Adamic year 2124. Genesis 25 verse 8 state, Abraham died at the ripe old age of 175. In the Adamic year 2124, when Abraham died, exactly 2124 years passed and were marked properly. The uninterrupted number of years were carried in the continuous direct descending bloodline descendants of Adam, just as Adam carried the year earlier. With the exact figure 2124 years, Adam appears not so distant from our present age, and with the definite count in Abraham's existence in close proximity with world history count at 2000 BC. For Abraham's appearance, the exciting search for the precise moment of Jesus Christ's appearance on the face of the earth is very bright. Another significant event in the past, the Great Flood at the time of Noah's existence, now can find some interesting referential dates. Take into consideration that Arpachshad was born on Adamic year 1658, which is exactly 2 years after the flood. Genesis 11:10. These are the descendants of Shem. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he had a son, Arpachshad. The records of the Holy Bible speak clearly of that specific 2 years after the flood, which is a clear implication that the Great Flood was properly dated when it happened, just as Genesis 7:11-12, 8:1-14 show in detail the exact count of the calendar days of the Great Flood from the start to the drying of the earth. By simply moving the date of Arpachshad's birth year, Adamic year 1658, 2 years backward, we come to the Adamic year 1656, the date when the Great Flood came. This fact is further substantiated by a direct reference to Noah's age, as Genesis 7:11 provides. When Noah was 600 years old, on the 17th day of the second month, all the outlets of the vast body of water beneath the earth burst open. All the floodgates of the sky were opened. Here, Noah was 600 years old when the flood came. And being now aware that Noah was born in Adamic year 1056, and by simply adding 600 years, we arrive at Adamic year, which surprisingly tallies with the exact date mentioned in particular as 2 years after the flood, affecting the birth year of Arpachshad in Adamic year 1658. Also, with reference to biblical records regarding the exact count of the calendar years of Shem's actual age when he fathered Arpachshad in Adamic year 1658, clearly stated in Genesis 11:10. These are the descendants of Shem, 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old. He had a son, Arpachshad. Just as now we know that Shem was born in Adamic year 1558. We only have to add 100 years, the exact age of Shem when he begat Arpachshad. We arrive at Adamic year 1658. Both the ages of Shem when he fathered Arpachshad and the exact birth year of Arpachshad are established accurately. This only shows that the records of the Holy Bible are technically precise. With the pivotal 130 years of Adam, when he fathered Seth, we were able to move back to year 1 when Adam fathered Seth. And again, from the vital age of Adam at 130 years, we are now moving forward to our present age. The number of years from year 1 down to the moment when Abraham died is easily reached, being 2124, and must carry the mark of Adam and indicated as Adamic year 2124. This numerical fact is unveiled for the first time here for the reader's clearer appraisal, and further exploration of more exciting informative bits of records which are contributory to a surprising jigsaw puzzle-like scenario. Whether we like it or not, with this glaring pattern of numerical count, we are inclined to measure the distance of Adam and the flow of time from his moment of appearance when he fathered Seth to our present age, as to whatever the consequential results would be as we move backward and forward in time. There are many things we will encounter. Be assured that, as early as of this moment of reading, the very consistent and natural flow of events will lead anyone to acceptable situations, long in existence and just waiting. Within the frame of time in Adamic calendar, isn't it thrilling to enter into the flow of time and come across the dates concerning the birth years as well as the death years of the prophets and patriarchs from Adam to Abraham and coming nearer to our present era? These figures, representing important dates about Adam and his descendants and great events, are not and could not be the writer's whimsical manipulation of numbers and facts, but these matters have long been there and waiting to be appreciated and brought into the light and given merit. Let's take a look at the unnoticed fact that Shem, the eldest son of Noah, was still alive and being 391 years old when Abraham was born. When Abraham died at the age of 175 years, Shem was already 566 years old. Shem outlived Abraham by 34 years old, the lifespan of Shem being 600 years. Steps: 1949 Adamic year, birth year of Abraham, less 1558 Adamic year, birth year of Shem. 391 years, age of Shem when Abraham was born in 1949 AY, plus 175 years, lifespan of Abraham, 566 years, age of Shem when Abraham died in 2124 AY when Abraham was 175 years old. Now, Shem lived for 600 years long. From this 600 years lifespan of Shem, less 566 years, age of Shem when Abraham died in 2124 AY, clearly Shem was still alive. 34 years that Shem outlived Abraham, which is traceable by 2158 AY, death year of Shem, less 2124 AY, death year of Abraham. 34 years later, when Shem died at the age of 600 years. Eber, the son of Shelah, the 13th direct descendant of Adam, was 226 years old when Abraham was born. When Abraham died, Eber was still alive and already 401 years old, and he outlived Abraham by 63 years, the lifespan of Eber being 464 years. Computations: birth year, death year, lifespan. Eber, birth year 1723, death year 2187, lifespan for 164 years. Abraham, birth year 1949, death year 2124, lifespan 175 years. Steps: 1949 Adamic year, birth year of Abraham, less 1723 Adamic year, birth year of Eber. 226 years, age of Eber when Abraham was born in 1949 AY, plus 175 years, lifespan of Abraham 401 years, age of Eber when Abraham died in 2124 AY. Now, Eber lived for 464 years long. From this 464 years lifespan of Eber, less 401 years, age of Eber, when Abraham died in 2124 AY. 63 years that Eber outlived Abraham, which is traceable by 2187 Adamic year, death year of Eber, less 2124 Adamic year, death year of Abraham. 63 years later, when Eber died at the age of 464. The foregoing time tracers and computations clearly show that the calendar type counts of the passage of time as recorded in the Holy Bible are reliable facts and also establishes the authenticity of the events and incidents relative to said time marking. End of chapter 1. Thank you very much.